The warning. The night was quiet on Mars Colony 7. The sky above the red desert was full of cold, white stars. Inside the research base, a single man worked alone. Ethan Cole, an engineer who fixed machines and watched over the silent colony. He liked the silence. But tonight something was different. The radio system in front of him started to blink. A strange signal was coming through. Ethan frowned and put on his headset. At first it was just noise, soft clicking and a low hum. But when he listened closely, it began to sound like a heartbeat. Slow, steady, repeating. He stared at the monitor. The signal was repeating the same pattern again and again. Ethan typed quickly, running a translation program. Then the words appeared on the screen. "They are coming." Ethan froze. His fingers stopped moving. "Who's coming?" he whispered. He replayed the message. It was the same. "They are coming." The hair on his arms stood up. The colony had been empty for weeks. Everyone else had gone back to Earth after the final phase of the Mars project ended. Only Ethan stayed behind to shut down the last systems. He thought he was alone. Now he wasn't so sure. He tried to contact Earth Command. "This is Ethan Cole, Colony 7. I'm receiving a strange signal." "Can anyone hear me? Static." No answer. He tried again. Still nothing. Then suddenly the lights in the base flickered and went out. Darkness. Only the red emergency light stayed on, glowing like blood against the walls. Ethan's heart beat faster. "What the hell?" he muttered, checking the power system. Nothing responded. Even the backup generator was dead. Then he heard something. A low sound, deep and distant. It wasn't the wind. It was a vibration in the ground, like heavy footsteps far away. He grabbed his flashlight and looked out the window. In the far distance, through the red dust storm, he saw a light, blue and glowing, moving closer. It wasn't a human ship. It was silent, smooth, and almost alive. The light came nearer until Ethan could see the shape of the craft. It was silver and round, floating just above the sand. The air around it shimmered like heat. Ethan's breath caught. Then, the ship opened. A doorway appeared, and from it a tall figure stepped out. It was not human. Its body thin and long, covered in silver skin that reflected the faint light. Its eyes glowed blue like ice. Ethan stumbled back, his hand shaking as he pointed the flashlight. Who are you?" The creature didn't move its mouth, but Ethan heard the voice clearly, inside his mind. "You must leave this place. They have found us." Ethan blinked. "Us? Who's us?" "What do you mean?" The being looked at him calmly. "The Queen remembers you. Her child remembers. You must protect him." Ethan shook his head. "What child? I don't understand any of this." The being stepped closer. In its hand appeared a glowing crystal, small, heart-shaped, and pulsing like it was alive. It floated toward Ethan and stopped right in front of him. "This is her warning," the voice said. "They come to destroy her child. Protect him, human. You were chosen. Chosen? For what?" Ethan asked, his voice trembling. The alien's eyes softened. "Because the Queen trusts you. Her child will call you father." Ethan stared at the crystal. He could feel warmth coming from it like it was breathing. "This is insane," he whispered. Suddenly the ground shook hard. The base trembled. The sky outside turned dark as thick black clouds formed quickly over the red desert. The alien turned its head toward the horizon. Lightning flashed red across the sky. "They are here," the voice said again, sharper now. "You must run." "Wait, who's here? What's happening?" Ethan shouted, but before he could move, the alien's body started to fade, breaking apart into shining dust. The light from its eyes dimmed as it spoke one last time. "Protect the child. They must not find him." Then the being was gone. Only the glowing crystal remained, floating in front of Ethan. He caught it before it fell. The moment his fingers touched it, he felt a heartbeat inside. Tiny, soft, alive. He could feel it. "Are you alive?" he whispered. The crystal pulsed once in his hand. Suddenly, the power in the base came back on. Screens lit up. Alarms started ringing loudly. Ethan turned to the main console and his eyes widened. The words flashing on the monitor read, "Incoming unknown entity. Contact in 02 minutes." Ethan's breath came fast. He looked back at the crystal. The light inside it was now brighter, almost scared. He didn't understand what was happening, but he knew he couldn't stay here. He grabbed his oxygen pack and prepared to leave the base. Outside, the red storm grew darker. The black clouds were moving closer, filled with flashes of red lightning. Ethan held the crystal tightly. "Don't worry," he whispered. "Whoever you are, I'll keep you safe." He ran out into the storm. Behind him, lightning struck the colony tower, exploding it into fire. The warning siren screamed across the empty desert. As he ran into the darkness, the crystal's light guided him, soft, blue, alive. He didn't know it yet, but this small glowing heart would change everything. His life, his world, and maybe the fate of the universe. The child arrives. The storm on Mars was like nothing Ethan had ever seen before. Red dust filled the air, lightning flashed across the dark sky, and the ground shook as if the planet itself was alive. Ethan ran across the sand, holding the glowing crystal close to his chest. Its light shone softly through the storm, helping him see his path. He reached a small cave near the rocky ridge, one he used as a backup shelter. Once inside, he sealed the metal door and turned on his flashlight. The wind outside screamed like a wild animal. Ethan sat down on the cold ground, breathing hard. The crystal still pulsed in his hands, glowing brighter now, as if it could feel his fear. He whispered, "What are you? What do you want from me?" The crystal didn't speak, but the glow started to change. From blue to gold, the air inside the cave grew warmer. Then, without warning, the crystal lifted itself from his hands and floated in front of him. Ethan's eyes widened. "Wait, what are you doing?" Light filled the small space. The crystal cracked open like an egg, and from the golden light a shape began to appear. Small, fragile, moving slowly. Ethan couldn't believe what he was seeing. The light faded, and there, lying on the ground, was a child. A strange, beautiful child, with pale skin, silver hair, and eyes that glowed softly blue. The baby looked human. Almost. But something about it was different. Too perfect, too calm. Ethan froze. His mind couldn't understand. The alien's words echoed in his head. "Her child will call you father." "No," he whispered. "This can't be real." The child made a small sound, soft and gentle like a sigh. Then, to Ethan's surprise, the baby opened its eyes and looked straight at him. In that moment, Ethan felt something deep inside. A connection, like a voice whispering in his thoughts. It wasn't words, but emotion. The child was afraid, and alone Ethan's heart softened. "Hey, it's okay," he said quietly, reaching out his hand. The baby's small fingers touched his. A warm light surrounded them both for a second, then faded. The baby smiled, and then, in a soft, echoing voice, not from its mouth, but inside Ethan's head, it said one word: "Father." Ethan gasped and almost dropped the child. "What did you just—" The baby blinked slowly, still watching him. The voice came again, clearer this time. "Father." Ethan felt his throat tighten. "You can talk? You understand me?" The baby didn't answer with words, but Ethan could feel emotions, trust, peace, and safety. He sat down, holding the child carefully. Okay, I guess I'm your father now," he whispered. "Whatever that means." He looked down at the glowing crystal pieces. They had turned into fine dust and disappeared. Outside, the storm finally began to calm, but something strange happened next. A sharp noise echoed through the cave. Ethan turned toward his scanner. The screen flashed with red warnings. Detection alert. Unknown ship landing. Distance 1.2 miles. Ethan's blood ran cold. "They found us," he said quietly. The baby started to glow faintly again, like it understood the danger. Ethan wrapped it inside his jacket and grabbed his backpack. "Don't worry, little one. I'll get us out of here." He opened the door of the cave and stepped outside. The storm was weaker now, but the red sky still burned with strange light. Far away, he could see dark shapes landing on the sand. Ships, black and sharp like blades. He could hear a strange metallic sound in the air, almost like screams. The ships weren't human. Ethan climbed down the rocks, moving fast. The child stayed quiet, eyes glowing faintly in the dark. He reached an old rover, one of the colony's transport vehicles. It was half broken, but it still worked. He started the engine, and it came alive with a rough growl. "Let's hope you still have power," he muttered. As the rover moved, Ethan saw something in the sky. Small dark drones flying in formation. They were scanning the ground with red beams. "They're searching for us," he whispered. He drove fast toward the canyon to the north. The rocks there could hide them from scanners. But before he reached it, one of the drones spotted the rover. A red light hit the vehicle and the alarm beeped. Ethan turned sharply, trying to escape. The drone fired a thin laser beam, hitting the sand near him. The explosion threw dust everywhere. The baby started crying, not loudly but with a strange sound like music. Suddenly, a blue energy shield appeared around the rover for a moment. The next laser hit the shield and bounced away. Ethan stared in shock. "Did you just do that?" he asked, looking at the glowing child. The baby's eyes shone brighter. Ethan felt warmth in his mind again, a single word whispering softly, "Safe." He smiled, amazed. "You're protecting us." The rover reached the canyon entrance. Ethan stopped the vehicle and hid it behind a rock wall. He held the child close and looked at the sky. The drones were still searching, but moving away slowly. Ethan sighed with relief. "We made it. For now." He looked down at the child again. "Who are you, little one? Why did they send you to me?" The child didn't answer. But Ethan felt a new thought forming in his mind, like someone else was speaking through him. A woman's calm, strong voice. "Ethan Cole, you have my child. Protect him. He carries the power of the Queen. If he dies, your world will follow." Ethan froze. "Who are you?" he asked. The voice was fading. "The Queen is dying. They are coming for both of you." Then silence. Ethan held the child tightly as the wind howled again outside the canyon. He looked up at the sky, where the enemy ships moved like black shadows. He didn't know who they were, or why the Queen trusted him. But he knew one thing. He would do anything to protect this child, even if it meant facing the entire galaxy. The hunters Ethan didn't sleep that night. The small canyon shelter was cold and silent. Outside, the wind whispered through the rocks. In his arms, the alien child slept quietly, its silver hair shining faintly under the dim light. Ethan sat near the fire, watching the scanner on his wrist. Every few minutes, the radar beeped softly, signals of movement. The enemy ships were still nearby, searching. He whispered to himself, "They won't find us. Not yet." He looked down at the baby. The child looked peaceful, but there was something powerful about him, something ancient. Every time Ethan touched his tiny hand, he felt warmth spread through his body, like soft energy wrapping around him. He remembered the alien's warning. They come to destroy her child. You must protect him. Ethan didn't understand why he was chosen. He was just an engineer, not a soldier or a hero. But deep down, he felt something strong, a connection that told him this child needed him. Suddenly, the scanner beeped louder. Ethan's heart stopped. He turned the screen, 3 signals moving toward his location. Fast, he picked up the baby and put him inside a small travel pod from his backpack. "Stay quiet, little one," he whispered. The baby's glowing eyes opened for a second, and a soft voice echoed in his mind. "Danger," Ethan nodded. "Yeah, I know." He turned off the fire, grabbed his blaster, and moved to the cave entrance. Through the dust outside, he could see lights, red and sharp, moving between the rocks. The hunters had arrived. 3 tall figures stepped into view. They were covered in black armor, their faces hidden behind helmets that looked like skulls. Red symbols glowed on their chests. Ethan stayed quiet, hiding behind a rock. He could hear their voices. Cold, mechanical, emotionless. "Target detected near this location," one said. Another replied, "Queen's child must be retrieved. No survivors." Ethan's heart raced. He looked at the baby and the small glow under the blanket. "Not today," he whispered. The first hunter raised a scanner, looking around. "Energy signature detected," it said. "Close." Ethan aimed his blaster and took a deep breath. He waited until the nearest hunter stepped closer. Then he fired. The shot hit the hunter's shoulder. The creature staggered but didn't fall. It turned its red eyes toward him. "Human identified," it said coldly. "Eliminate." Ethan ran deeper into the canyon, shooting behind him. The laser beams from the hunters hit the rocks, making sparks fly. The baby started to glow brighter again, reacting to the danger. "Not now, kid," Ethan said, breathing hard. He reached a narrow passage and slipped inside, hiding behind a large boulder. The hunters followed slowly, scanning every corner. Ethan pressed his back to the rock, holding his breath. He could hear the footsteps getting closer, then suddenly a blue light flashed from the pod, soft but powerful. It spread across the ground like a wave. The hunters stopped. "Energy surge detected," one shouted. The blue light hit them. Their armor began to spark and melt. The hunters screamed, a terrible metallic sound, and fell to the ground. Ethan watched in shock. The baby's glow dimmed again, and the cave fell silent. He knelt beside the child. "You did that, didn't you?" The baby's voice echoed softly in his mind. Protect, Father." Ethan smiled weakly. "You really are something else." He looked at the fallen hunters. Their armor was smoking, but one of them was still alive, crawling toward a small device on its wrist. Ethan moved closer and kicked it away. The creature looked up at him. Its face under the mask was pale and reptilian, with cold black eyes. "Why are you after the child?" Ethan demanded. The creature hissed. "The Queen's blood must not survive. It will end us all." "What do you mean?" Ethan shouted, but before he could say more, the creature pressed something on its chest, and its body disintegrated into dust. Ethan stepped back, shocked. They'd rather die than talk. He looked up at the sky. In the distance, red lights were moving again, more hunters. He sighed. "We can't stay here. We need to move." He packed quickly, securing the baby inside a warm suit. The child looked at him with calm blue eyes. "Where do we go?" Ethan asked himself. Then he remembered the Queen's voice from before. "Find the light chamber. There, you will learn the truth." He didn't know what or where that was, but it was the only clue he had. Ethan started the rover again and drove through the canyon. The engines roared softly, echoing in the empty night. The child stayed quiet, sleeping peacefully now. As he drove, Ethan noticed something strange. The baby's glow spread faintly across the rover, fixing broken circuits and damaged screens. The whole vehicle seemed to run smoother, faster. He whispered, "You're not just a child. You're something far greater." Hours later, the red dawn rose over Mars. The light touched the rocks, turning them gold. Ethan finally stopped on a high ridge and looked down. Far in the valley below, he saw something shining. A structure buried half in the sand. It looked ancient and alien, glowing with the same blue light as the child's eyes. "The light chamber," he said softly. But before he could move, the radar beeped again. More signals, a whole fleet approaching fast. He looked down at the baby. "We're running out of time." The baby opened its eyes. The soft voice in his mind came again. "They will come, Father. But we are not alone." Ethan frowned. "Not alone? What do you mean?" Then, in the distance, he saw new lights appearing in the sky, not red, but blue. Different ships, and they were heading straight toward him. For the first time, Ethan felt hope, mixed with fear. Who were these new arrivals? Friends, or another kind of enemy? The Queen's message. The red sun rose slowly over Mars, painting the rocks gold and orange. Ethan stood on the ridge, holding the alien child close to his chest. His eyes were fixed on the sky. 2 fleets were approaching, one red, one blue. He already knew the red ships were the hunters. But the blue ships? He wasn't sure. Were they enemies or something else entirely? The baby's eyes glowed faintly and a soft voice echoed in Ethan's mind. "They are hers. They serve the Queen." Ethan exhaled in relief. "So they're friends?" The child blinked slowly as if unsure. "They protect the Queen's name, but they don't know you yet." Before Ethan could ask what that meant, the blue ship stopped above the canyon. A bright beam of light came down from one of them, and 3 figures appeared inside it. They were tall, armored in silver and blue. Their eyes glowed like stars, and strange symbols moved slowly across their armor. Ethan stepped back, holding the baby tightly. "Stay behind me, little one." One of the silver beings stepped forward and spoke in a deep voice, but not with his mouth. The words appeared directly in Ethan's mind, clear and powerful. "Human, you have something that does not belong to you." Ethan frowned. This child, He was given to me. The Queen, she sent him. The leader's eyes narrowed. Impossible. The Queen has been silent for many cycles. No human could carry her child. Ethan shook his head. I saw it happen. She sent a messenger. She said I must protect him. The Silver Warrior looked at the glowing baby, who was now awake and calm. The child stared back, and for a brief moment everything around them went silent. Then a soft light surrounded the baby, golden and warm. The Silver Warriors dropped to one knee, lowering their heads. Ethan stared. What's happening? The leader spoke again, his voice trembling slightly. It's true. The royal mark. The Queen's blood flows within him. He looked at Ethan with new respect. Forgive us, Protector. The Queen's message must be for you. Ethan blinked, confused. Message? What message? The leader took a small device from his belt and placed it on the ground. It opened, and a glowing hologram appeared. The image of a woman unlike any human Ethan had ever seen. She was tall, graceful, her skin glowing silver, her eyes like twin stars. A soft crown of light floated above her head. Her presence was both beautiful and powerful, the alien queen herself. Ethan felt his chest tighten. The baby reached out toward the image as if recognizing her. The Queen's voice filled the air, calm, but filled with sadness. If you are hearing this, then I am gone. My enemies, the Shadow Legion, have destroyed my world. But hope still lives in my child. She looked directly at Ethan, as if speaking across time. Ethan Cole, human of Earth, you showed mercy once long ago to one of my kind. For that I chose you. My child carries my power, but he is not ready. You must guide him, protect him, until he can awaken fully. Ethan stood frozen. He could hardly breathe. You knew me? The Queen continued, her image flickering slightly. The shadows will not stop. They seek to control the power of creation itself. My child is the key, and you are his shield. Then her voice softened, almost like a whisper. He will call you father, not because of blood, but because you will teach him love, courage, and humanity. That is the strength our enemies fear most. Ethan's eyes filled with tears. He looked down at the baby in his arms, who smiled softly, eyes glowing brighter. The Queen's image started to fade. Her final words echoed through the canyon. When the time comes, take him to the light chamber. There, the path will open. Then she was gone. For a moment there was only silence, broken by the sound of the desert wind. The Silver Warriors stood quietly. One of them said, the Queen's final command must be obeyed. The light chamber lies beneath the ancient ruins, beyond the northern ridge. Ethan nodded slowly. Then that's where we'll go. The leader bowed his head. We will guide you. But before they could move, the sky suddenly turned red. A massive explosion ripped across the horizon. The Red Fleet, the hunters, had arrived. Laser fire rained down from the sky, shaking the ground. The Silver Warriors raised glowing shields to block the attack. Protect the child, the leader shouted. Ethan ran toward the rover, holding the baby close. The air filled with the sound of battle, explosions, light beams, and the roar of engines. One of the hunters' ships dived straight toward them. Ethan jumped behind a rock, covering the child with his body. The Silver Warriors fought bravely, but the enemy ships kept coming. Dozens of them. The leader looked at Ethan and shouted, Go! Get to the light chamber! We'll hold them off! Ethan hesitated. You'll die. The warrior smiled faintly. Then we die serving our queen. Before Ethan could argue, the ground split open. A bright tunnel of blue light appeared beneath his feet, glowing like a gate. The child's eyes flashed. It was his doing. Ethan looked down. You opened it, didn't you? The baby only smiled. The Silver Warrior's voice echoed one last time. Go, Protector. The Queen's message will guide you. Ethan took a deep breath and jumped into the light. The world around him dissolved into color and sound. He felt himself falling, not through space, but through time itself. Then everything went black. When he opened his eyes, he was no longer on Mars. He stood inside a giant chamber filled with glowing walls and floating symbols, ancient, beautiful, alive. The baby in his arms laughed softly. Ethan whispered, So this is the light chamber. But before he could take another step, a deep voice echoed from the shadows. Cold, cruel and full of hate. "Welcome, Protector. You've brought me exactly what I wanted." Ethan froze. The shadows had found them. The last stand, Ethan stood frozen inside the glowing chamber. The walls shone with blue light, but the air had turned cold and heavy. The baby in his arms stopped smiling. Its glow dimmed, as if it could sense the danger hiding in the shadows. A voice echoed through the chamber again, deep, cruel, and filled with hate. "So the human protector has arrived, and he brought the Queen's child right to me." Ethan turned slowly. Out of the darkness, a tall figure appeared. It was covered in black armor, darker than space itself. Its eyes burned red like fire. The creature stepped closer, its steps heavy and sharp. "Do you even know what you carry, human?" it said. "That child is not salvation, it is destruction." Ethan held the baby close. "You're lying. The Queen said her child was hope for all worlds." The creature laughed, a terrible echoing sound. "Hope? No. The Queen's child is a weapon, born with the power to create or to erase entire civilizations. I will use him to rebuild the galaxy, under my rule." Ethan shook his head. "Over my dead body," the enemy smiled. "That can be arranged." Without warning, the dark figure raised its hand. Energy blasted from its palm, striking the ground near Ethan. The explosion threw him back against the wall. Sparks filled the air. Ethan coughed, trying to stand. His arm was bleeding, but he refused to let go of the baby. "You'll never have him!" The enemy lifted its hand again, but this time the baby began to glow. A bright blue light surrounded them both. The enemy's attack stopped mid-air, frozen in place. The baby's eyes opened wide, shining like two stars. Ethan could feel a warm wave of energy spreading through the room. The creature hissed. "No, he's too young. He can't control it." The chamber shook as symbols on the walls lit up one by one. Ethan looked around, amazed. "He's activating something!" The baby's voice echoed softly in his mind. "Father, don't be afraid." Ethan's chest tightened. "I'm not," he said softly. "I'm right here." The dark figure screamed and charged toward them. Ethan ran behind a crystal pillar, trying to protect the baby. The floor cracked under the enemy's power. Then the Queen's voice filled the air, soft, distant, but full of strength. "Ethan Cole, the time has come. Guide my child, and he will finish what I could not." Ethan looked down at the baby. "You hear that? She's with us." The baby looked at him, calm, glowing brighter now. He reached out a tiny hand, touching Ethan's chest. A blue light spread from that touch, wrapping Ethan in a protective shield. Ethan felt power rush through his body, not pain, but strength. His wounds healed. His vision sharpened. The enemy stopped, watching in disbelief. "Impossible. You are only human." Ethan stood tall, his voice steady. "Maybe, but I'm his father." He aimed his blaster and fired. The shot was amplified by the baby's energy, turning into a blue beam that struck the enemy's armor, cracking it open. The creature roared in pain. "You think this changes anything?" "I am eternal." But the chamber itself was waking up. Blue light crawled up the walls, forming giant shapes, like spirits made of energy. They surrounded the enemy, trapping him. The baby's voice filled the air again, stronger now. "No more shadows," the enemy screamed as the light grew brighter, burning through his armor. "No, I cannot be destroyed." But the chamber answered with a sound like thunder. A beam of pure energy shot upward, swallowing the dark figure completely. The light exploded, filling the entire room. Ethan covered his eyes. The sound faded slowly, and when he looked again, the enemy was gone. Only a few black ashes remained where he had stood. The chamber became quiet. The glowing walls dimmed, returning to their peaceful blue. Ethan fell to his knees, exhausted but alive. He looked at the baby, now smiling again, small and innocent as if nothing had happened. Ethan laughed weakly. "You saved us." Again, the child touched his face gently. "We saved together." Ethan held him close. "Yeah, together." Then the Queen's voice returned one last time, soft and loving. "You have done well, Ethan Cole. The shadows are gone. For now, my child is safe because of you." Ethan looked up. "What happens next?" "You will guide him," the voice said. "He must learn what it means to be both human and royal. When he grows, he will decide the fate of two worlds." Her voice began to fade. "And remember, Ethan, love is stronger than power." The chamber's light slowly dimmed, and the floor began to open beneath them. Ethan felt the pull again. the same kind of portal that had brought him here. He closed his eyes and whispered, "Let's go home, kid." In a flash of blue light, they vanished. When Ethan opened his eyes again, he was standing on a hill under the bright sky of Earth. Green grass swayed in the wind, and birds flew above. He had not seen Earth in months. He smiled, tears in his eyes. The baby looked up at him and giggled, pointing at the sky. "Yeah," Ethan said softly. "That's our home." He sat down, holding the child close. "Your mother saved the galaxy, but you're going to change it." The baby smiled again, eyes shining like small stars. Ethan knew the journey wasn't over, but for now the war was, far above the clouds. A faint blue light shimmered, a reminder that the Queen's spirit was still watching over them. And deep inside the child's heart, something new was growing. A small, powerful light that would one day decide the future of all life. Ethan whispered, "Sleep now, little one. The universe can wait." The baby closed his eyes, peaceful at last, and for the first time in a long time, Ethan Cole finally felt hope.